guys ever like singing throughout your day?
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
Honestly? Same!
That was really good.
Honestly? Same.
Ooh, honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly?
Honestly,
Same.
same. Honestly,
Honestly,
same.
same. Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Nice!
You didn't even run that by us.
Yeah, welcome back to the show, everybody.
I was
us
20
with
minutes
that
late
one.
as usual. I'm sure he had plenty of time to think about what he wanted to do because
Didn't
he's in
give
the
it
middle.
one bit of thought until just now. Hey, welcome to a new episode of Honestly Same. My name is Ross.
My name is Leah.
I'm Brittany.
And today, we're going to talk music. I'm just going to keep doing
I like that you're
randomly
singing
throughout
like a Canadian person too, though. Like it's very like.
What are you talking about?
It's like newscaster slash. It's like Justin.
I feel like
7 people died.
you would be in the musical, but you would be the guy that like was on the news. Like
Yeah.
you'd be like the newscaster
Ooh,
in
yeah,
the musical.
okay. All right. So
Yeah.
if you're casting for a musical, samesies out there. Anybody making a musical, you need a newscaster who can sing. This is me.
Newsies, you
I
could
did-
be a newsie.
a
Well,
newsie.
they definitely have they all have an accent. Never worry about
Oh.
it. Yeah.
If you need a Canadian newscaster for your musical,
And you must.
look no further because I'm doing all this shit. I didn't even warm up. I didn't even do any vocal warm ups.
We did do vocal warm-ups before this.
Guys, we said we're doing an episode about music. Everyone,
Solo
Do, re, mi,
humming.
fa, sol.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, even if we're not all ready to sing, even though one of us is, and Leah, well, I guess it's
It's Leah who's
I'm
ready to
always
sing.
Lua,
Luann.
Leanne
It's the 1950s speakeasy.
Luann
Luann.
is always ready to sing.
Luann is
Let me
ready
tell
to
you.
go.
And I'm ready to
Stage
go.
name.
That means one person's left. Brittany, let's hear it. I can't stop.
You can't.
I can't.
We need to get onto the topic at
What
hand.
is the topic? Someone take the control from me. What are we talking about? Our favorite music. Someone. How do we start?
Music.
See?
That's how you get into it.
You can't not. You can't not.
I feel like mine was more of a bleat. Like it sounded a little bit like a goat. It was music.
Yeah, that's fair.
You could do your dolphin noise and maybe.
I
won't
channeled
be
my
doing
I channeled
I
my
did
inner
warm up.
Eliza Schlesinger in that moment.
Who's that?
Her inner Luann.
Her inner Luann.
You love stand up. You don't know who Eliza Schlesinger is?
I'm bad with names.
He's
I
getting
will
really thrown
send
off
it
by
to
that
you.
last name.
It is
Schlesinger?
Schlesinger.
Schleshing.
Schles.
Schlesh.
I'll
This
send it
is
to
hard.
you. I'll
Yeah,
send it to you
just
and you
send
can look
me
it up.
a link.
It's all over Netflix. If you love stand up comedy, she is freaking hilarious.
Okay. Our favorite music.
Yeah.
Our
Let's all
favorite.
stop singing and let's start talking.
About
Start.
singing.
Make 'em. Oh, I can't stop.
All right. So we want to
We literally have to talk because he won't stop.
So
Yeah,
do we
this
want
is- I
to
keep
list
wanting to
like
sing.
our favorite artists?
Yeah, do we want to just like start with favorite artists and then kind of dig into like
how we got
our
them?
history of
Yeah.
what all the, because there's no way we all haven't had different music phases unless one of you are about to reveal that you picked one favorite artist at the very beginning and you've had them since then.
well,
I
you.
feel like that'd just be like out of spite, sort of.
I mean,
Now you're going to.
I have 5, but I do have my one from when I was like.
yeah.
I have
a
one
child.
from like a phase.
All right, so
Okay.
let's go through. Let's go
Okay.
through our
pull it
top
up.
5 favorite artists or bands.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Who's going? Me?
Are we going all
You're in the
5 at
center.
once? Just like
Oh,
these are them, or are we going boop 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 boop?
Booping around would be fun.
I feel like boopin's good.
Okay.
I'm good with boopin. You
Yeah.
guys want to boop?
Did you guys put these in particular orders or just like top 5?
I personally no particular order.
We're not playing favorites outside of the favorites.
Yeah, a very general top 5. And to be honest, I would probably rotate maybe 3 of these top 5 in and out for other things at different points in time.
My
But-
top
it.
5 are there for specific reasons. So I don't have them in an order, but I have sort of like an explanation for each
Perfect.
one.
Yeah,
if that
Okay.
makes
that'll work.
sense.
Yeah, if we boop around, then you can kind of give your
Yeah.
reason.
All right, so
Yeah.
you boop first, Ross.
I'll boop first. Here we go. I don't know if I have to explain this very much because I have brought this up anytime music has been mentioned on the podcast lately. My number one favorite artist right now is Medium Build. He is
Yes, you
he's a
did tell us
folk, like acoustic, kind of chill artist. I discovered him like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or
And he's
something
like
ago.
skyrocketed to the top
He's
for you.
number one. Like
That's gonna
undoubtedly.
be like your Spotify Wrapped, like
there's no way he's not gonna
number
be.
one artist.
$1,000,000%. I have nearly exclusively listened to just his songs throughout the past like year and a half. So yeah, my number one right now, and based off the phase of music loving that I'm in, I feel like he might keep that top spot for a while.
I'm loving like envisioning. I don't know who else is on your list yet, but like the boxing between to like get back up to the top.
Yes, to rate. Yeah, but yeah, medium build. If you're watching, you're number one. You're knocking everybody out. So yeah, my number one right now, medium build.
All right. I think it's the way that you explained it was really perfect for a transition into my favorite artist of the moment. My current obsession is Chaperone. Thank you, Brittany, who introduced us collectively to Chaperone.
Yep.
Because that is like currently, you know what I mean? Like that's, I feel like the person who will probably be my Spotify Wrapped like top artist for this year, because that was, I think, the album that I listened to the most this year, like easily.
Yeah, that album top to bottom is like, we
so
texted
good.
about this.
So yeah,
like,
so good. Every song.
I had just listened to like the main singles and all that sort of stuff, and then finally one day I was like, let me give the whole album, and I was like, oh my god, there's not a skippable song.
What I realized after like forcing people, like sending everyone the singles, is that like it was safe to just send the album. Like,
oh gosh, yeah. But you know
it
what?
is just so
the
good.
singles are kind of what grabs you, because I remember when you sent it, we were all driving home that night, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to this now. And I remember listening to it and going, yeah, I like this. And then I figured I was just going to like move on and whatever. But then randomly, and this doesn't happen very often for me, at least, I was like, I want to hear that Pink Pony Club song. Like, it just was like, that's the song I want to listen to right now. And it would pop into my brain of like, I need like this kind of vibe right now. But then, yeah, as I started listening to more and more of the music off of that album, I was like, wow, yeah, like not a skippable song. A lot of the hits are like the songs I listen to the least, actually. Like I listen to them, but like Hot to Go is like the, you know, one of the biggest songs right now because she's got the dance to it and all that stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I like some of the like, I don't know, more intimate like slow numbers I would choose over it.
Yeah.
Yes, Picture You.
What's your top like 3? Okay, we're at the top 2.
I feel like, well, for like the slow, I mean, I guess those pretty much are the slow ones, but California is also kind of slow too, and I love that one. I think every single song has its own like place.
Every
like,
song
I like
could have
them,
been a hit single.
Yeah, like depending on what mood. Like I might switch my top 3 even, but yeah, Kaleidoscope I feel like is the one I've been listening to a lot more often recently, just because it is more in like the, I don't know, like it's on the back burner a little bit, but like people forget about how good the whole album is.
Yeah.
It's great as a whole.
Great choice.
I love it. Okay, my number one right now, we talked about this on some episode. I don't know what we were talking about that episode. It must have been like, our recap for like the beginning. Suki Waterhouse is my number one right now. She had an album come out this year called Memoir of a Sparkle Muffin, which is a type of spider.
Really?
And it's just like this whole like, when you listen to the album, I told you guys it's kind of like 70s, but it just feels very like transformative, and you can kind of from the beginning of the album to the end see how like things change, perspective changes from the same things from the beginning. Like life cycle.
I love those types of things where you can like start putting together like, oh, this is something that you were talking about in a different song, and now it's all like kind of coming full circle. I love when an album tells a story.
Yeah.
And it's like
the
sort of
lore.
like like you said, the life cycle of a spider. Like,
Yeah.
that's right up my alley. I have a spider. Her name's Terry.
Terry the spider.
Oh my god, you're singing. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Flash mob, everybody. Everyone comes out.
Remember your training.
Terry the spider. I was really hoping you were going to really break into song.
I don't know when it'll happen. Just wait.
I say that's like a light break in.
Like that was
I think it's the acknowledgement is too much. You just need to let me do my thing.
I hope Brittany never sings.
Thank you. All right, go on.
Ever. Another favorite artist. This one, no surprise, probably been mentioned a lot in this podcast, the 1975. I feel like that was a very... we'll get to it when we really talk into like the phases of music and stuff. But once I got introduced into the 1975 and that kind of genre of music and genre adjacent, all that sort of stuff, it has stuck.
Yeah.
Like I can't say that I'm like jamming them every single day anymore.
But it changed like a perspective of music
it
type
definitely,
thing.
Yeah, it opened the door into a whole new realm and genre of music where I was like, oh, I like when things sound like this and adjacent to this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say a relatively big impact from that band on the music I in general listen to. I feel like that band, we'll get into this, but that band kind of broke me out of like scene music.
I feel
Yeah.
like at least for anybody that got into the 1975 somewhat heavily, that was like, I like that you're also like, because I feel I have it literally written like in part of my like phases of music, because I feel like everyone had a 1975 like
They're in my top 5. I'm
Yeah.
like, but let me just put it out there.
yeah. So it's one of those things that like I feel like everybody has like a 1975 phase of like, oh my god, like I relate to this so hard. Like I think that's why they like are, or at least were arguably like one of the biggest bands like in, I feel like, what was that, 2015, 2016, when it like that first album came out, everybody was like, oh my gosh,
Tumblr
like
AF.
2014,
Yeah.
maybe 2013.
oh well, yeah, I think it started to pop off
Yeah.
around 2015. I remember because that was the year I met Nick. But anyway, we'll get into all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
we'll
we
get
will
into
talk
all of that.
about
But I
all
love
the
that
timelines.
was that
Yeah.
you even brought up, because they are such a, I don't want to say a phase band because then they become favorites.
It's a
but, like,
pivot. It's a pivotal band
Yes.
that takes you. You
Yeah.
love them,
It's like
and then
a-
it pivots you
Yeah.
into
Like
their
a-
world.
An
Yes.
anchor point band, a very foundational
Yeah.
element of like the other
Yeah.
types of music that I
definitely an
got into.
honorable mention. It's not in my top 5, but I definitely thought about it.
Yeah.
My second one on my list is Julian Baker. Specifically, this is an artist that I turn to when I'm down. Like that's like, you know, like you have
Yeah.
like that music where you're just like, you're feeling some type of way, and like it's like, especially those types of artists, I feel like I need like a comfort artist, but
Yes.
still like fits the genre of like sad.
Mm-hmm.
So Julian
She,
Baker was like one of those people that like pretty much everything that she's done, like again, like hits you in a way where you're just like, oh,
She just did a song with Medium Build, actually.
oh my God.
Wow, when the
Just
worlds
dropped,
collide.
like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I love that.
I'm just gonna get the 1975 one out of the way. Same
Yeah.
as you.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it was
fair.
the first band that I listened to in that realm, and I found a lot of music like that since. I still love them. I'm not jamming them every day. They also haven't come out with anything new in a while, so it's not like. But
And they were banging them out there for a second. I feel
Yeah.
like they need a.
And I think it did a weird thing. I think it was all over, but specifically like in Columbus, like anyone that was listening to me, it was like a community built thing at like shows and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was like, we are all going to this show and we're going to have fun. And maybe that was thanks to the LC and it being like outside and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it just felt like those shows felt a little different. Like you were going there for an experience and not just to like see,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
you know?
Yep.
And I
Felt
think that
like
had a big
work of art. Like you were almost like going to a museum. Like or it was like an experience. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's different than just like going and watching. I mean, any artist that I feel like is big enough to some point is going to have like a show to put on.
Right.
But like it's different. Like you said, it's like everyone around you is kind of, you're having like this shared.
they're seeing the same
Experience.
thing, and it was, you know, from like a new band. We're all seeing the same thing from this new band, and that's
Right.
really cool to see in like real time.
Yeah.
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 I'll staying on the like 1975-esque train here. Another band that has for sure cemented themselves as a favorite of mine is the band Coin. So very similar to
Is it Capital?
Yes,
I
like,
was gonna
yeah,
say
Coin.
I've definitely got I think a song or two on my playlist by
Yeah.
Point.
Again, that was like a gateway from 1975 into like, oh, all these different types of like this quote unquote genre of music and all that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, pretty much as soon as I got into them, I was like, oh, I want to listen to like every song that they put out. It's not just like, oh, they got a couple bangers that I listen to a lot. It was like, oh no, I can acknowledge that I like genuinely really, really like
Yeah.
this band, and a lot of their songs stay into my playlist, and like they just dropped a new album a couple months ago, and like that has been in a constant rotation. So yeah, another one of mine would be Coin.
Okay. My next one is Christina Aguilera. So this is somebody, this is definitely in like phase as far as like all of that goes in my life. But I would say that as like vocal inspiration and like impression as far as like music goes, like she's the kind of person where like everything she does is like so just perfect and like almost otherworldly that she's like, I don't know, that person that you look at and you're just like, oh my God, like how are you real? as a musician, and from a musician's standpoint especially, I felt like that was somebody that I was like, if I don't put her in my top 5, then what am I doing?
Yeah.
Fair. Very fair. Yes. Love that.
So this is like part of my phases, but there's an artist named Laura Marling. She's an English folk singer, and I don't listen to like all her stuff. Like I don't know her whole catalog, but I found her on YouTube when I was like 13. And it's kind of like with Julian Baker, where I just like reach for her when I need like someone in the room with me, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she just came out, I think last year, with like it's like a folky like lullaby album,
Oh, I
because she started
love
having
that.
kids. So we're like going in this trajectory of like now I can relate in new ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna put her on there.
I want you to send me something.
Yeah, I
of
know.
hers,
I was
because
like, well,
that
now I wanna-
sounds-
yeah.
Yeah, she's really awesome. Everything's like really slow, and her accent really comes out. You know, a lot of like English lose their accent.
Oh, yeah. That's
That's cool.
something I think she's more, is it Nordic? But Aurora, like her.
That's Zach's favorite. That's Zach's Taylor Swift.
I love that for him. But her
bad.
voice, like the way that it comes through in her music is like, oh, it just melts you. Do you know who Aurora is?
Never heard of
She's the one
Aurora
that in Frozen 2 is the voice that goes,
He's never seen Frozen 2.
No?
Never seen
Oh
Frozen.
my gosh.
But yeah, no,
I don't understand.
I don't know how. Like, I think that anyone could turn on her music and like be moved by Aurora's
That's
music.
cool.
It's
Okay.
yeah, it's something where it's got this really just like it's like it goes into like your, I don't know.
It sounds like
bones.
it sounds
It's
like
so
some spirit is singing. to
Literally.
you.
Cool.
She
Okay.
did.
It's-
Did you
yeah.
see this? She had like her team for her birthday like surprised her with a set in the forest. Like set this forest up. So she doesn't know going into it she's gonna perform a concert with like
That's
her full
amazing.
band.
What?
Her full band comes out of the forest. She puts on this concert. You'd think that she prepped her whole life for this. I literally cried when
That
Zach showed me.
sounds
I'm gonna
real
have to
rad.
look that up. No, she's like she wakes something primal within you because of the way that her voice is. It feels like a spirit.
She
It
also
feels
like
an
performs
old
and moves
spirit.
like an animal. It's really weird. She's
Oh my
really
gosh.
weird in the best way.
I need to
she is like
check
the
this
most
person out.
Yeah.
ethereal. That's like
Yes.
the most ethereal being
Huh.
that you will ever. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
I need
folky.
I need some links.
You would enjoy her.
Yeah. I'll
Incredible.
send you some Aurora too.
Beautiful. Is it me now?
I said a
You're
Christina
looking
Aguilera.
for- So
was
it's,
the
I
last
said
one
Laura
said.
Marling.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
the other.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Another one on my list is the band Microwave.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yes, very like indie type band. Again, kind of came from like listening to certain types of like scene punk music sort of thing, get introduced to Microwave, and then again, they've just stuck to where I probably listen to them less now than I ever have before, but whenever a song does pop on shuffle or something, I'm like, yeah, no, this is the right time
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
You know, like this is still a good vibe no matter what. Like I
I
absolutely
love
want
those
to
kinds of bands and that kind of music where it's like
yeah.
it's never a skip.
Yeah.
No.
Like no matter
Yeah.
what mood you're in, you're like, I can listen to this.
Yep. So yeah, definitely Microwave has for sure stuck into my like top 5 for a while, because I also like oftentimes will base, like I feel like I never really had favorite bands. Like I did, but I wouldn't label things my favorite. But then I really started thinking about it, and I was like, well, what are bands that like the moment they release anything, I 1
Yeah,
million
you're
percent
excited.
want to go listen, and I'm excited. And I'm like, oh yeah, Microwave's like one of those bands. So
Yeah.
they definitely became one of those bands for me. So yeah, Microwave.
Very nice, very nice. My next one I have is Fountains of Wayne, and specifically the Welcome Interstate Managers album. I feel like the writing style of it is so clever because Adam Schlesinger, another Schlesinger,
Wow.
he actually passed during COVID. He had like complications from COVID, but he was like one of the most insanely talented writers. Like he got hired to do songs for movies and like music and lyrics. If you guys have ever seen that movie, like he wrote the song for that, or That Thing You Do, the song from that movie, That Thing
Oh,
You Do.
dun,
Yeah,
dun,
so he
dun,
was
dun.
like,
Yeah.
they would just hire him to be like, hey, we need a catchy song.
Yeah.
Huh.
And he was the guy. And the entire like Welcome Interstate Managers album by Fountains of Wayne, it's like every song like tells a story and has like a different vibe, and it almost feels like I don't know, you're just following along. Like, you know when you watch a music video and it feels like more immersive than just listening to the song because it adds something to it? You can just listen to it and you feel like you can see it happening like in your head.
That's cool.
Love that.
What type of music is it? Like,
oh man, it's
like if you were like to genre it.
If you listened to it now, you would say, well, have you heard the song Stacy's Mom?
Yeah.
That's Fountains of Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people think it's Bowling for Soup because they covered it. I think like a Warped Tour or something, but it's Stacy's Mom is originally by Fountains of Wayne.
Interesting.
And so that style, it's like, it's got rock.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the same vein as like maybe like Weezer.
Yeah.
So if that's like gives
okay.
you an idea.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have never, I guess I have listened to them, but I didn't know that I did.
Most people have no idea.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that was Fountains of Wayne and not Bowling for Soup, and mainly because I was at Warped Tour watching Bowling for Soup, and they were like, "Want to hear Stacey's Mom?" And everyone was like, "Woo!" And they're like, "That's not our fucking song," and then played it anyway.
I absolutely love that.
Of course.
In that realm of just like the like older, we talked about this with like Microwave and stuff. Mayday Parade. I will always listen to whatever they come out with, like, and it changes a little bit, but really at the root they stay the same. So I'll always have my little, that was a phase that won't leave. That wasn't a phase.
See, I love that though, because I feel like, I don't know, it's like something that like you're excited for still to this day. When you think about like when you first started listening to them, you might have been like 12 or 13.
And so you're in touch with that like part of you.
Which I love.
Well, that is a perfect segue into my final one on the list here. The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
They are my scene band who like stuck around through like every phase of like growing out of scene music and not really caring about the Warped Tour scene much anymore. Like, and in my opinion, for the type of music they make, like they have consistently always been great. Like
There's a bug.
There was a bug on me?
It was a ladybug.
For those listening, Leah just saved my life.
From a ladybug.
From a ladybug that was going to devour me. Neck first. But yeah, Devil Wears Prada has just, I feel like they've never really released a bad album, like in their genre of music and everything. And yeah, they're just one that has like somehow stood the test of time. Even when I like got into like 1975 mode, I'm like, no, give me like lighter guitars and a groovy chorus. I'm also like, oh, Devil Wears Prada released a new album. Okay, this is pretty good. Like, and I feel like they're kind of in the middle of like a resurgence right now where like they stayed good, but kind of faded to like the back a little bit, where now they're like kind of like coming back to prominence as like a lot of people in that scene of music are like, oh, this is a legendary band now in our scene. And they're getting even better than they've ever been before. So yeah, that would be my number 5. Devil Wears Prada has stood the test of time for me.
Speaking of test of time, perfect segue. Nice. My last band on the list is the Beatles, because I feel like from my childhood, which, you know, we'll get into the phases and stuff, from my childhood until now, like, there's always a space for the Beatles. There just is. There's so much. They have so much music. They have so many different kinds of vibes, and it's like every single time I listen to it, it takes me back to like being a kid and like cleaning the house, and that's like playing in the background. Or there'll be songs where I'll listen and be like, as an adult, I'll listen to something that maybe I haven't heard from them in a long time, and then I'm like, oh man, like it hits different now, and and it's like I never get sick of that, I guess.
I always had some strange thing about the Beatles growing up where like I loved them. And like I loved that old sound. And so when I got old enough to actually on my own go and discover like, wait, what were those random songs that I really, really loved? Oh, only one of the most popular bands to ever exist. It's pretty easy to find them. Then I was like, whoa, I can still listen to these songs. Like, and it definitely took me back to like that. I don't know what it is about that old type of music that I'm like, I love
the
this.
Classic rock aspect of it too is it's like, it's old. Like when you think of like the first things that they were releasing, like I Want to Hold Your Hand and like those kinds of like, I don't want to call them like softer, but like obviously they changed the game in music.
It was the devil's music.
But
they're
like,
shaking their hips.
You know, you look at like, it goes from like black and white, these guys are in like suits and ties, and then you go like
Technicolor.
Yeah, there's literally Technicolor. There's just everything is like so bright and vibrant, and they're in, you know, just like clothing that is so like set. I mean, obviously time changed and went on and whatever, but it was like just the vast like spectrum of the Beatles. It's like it goes from monochromatic to Technicolor. It's the best way that I can describe it.
One more note on the Beatles. I know we're talking music, but have you seen the movie Yesterday?
No.
I wanted to see that one. Nick does not like the Beatles, even though they're in my top 5. He respects what they've done for music, but he does not enjoy listening to them. So I feel like that's one I will have to watch on my own.
Find a way to watch Yesterday. And samesies, find a way to watch Yesterday. If you remotely even care about you don't even have to like the Beatles, honestly. It's just a really fun movie.
Yeah.
And
well,
it is
and then there's
really
also,
good.
of course, Across the Universe.
Yeah.
That is like
Which
about
is
the
like-
Beatles, right?
No, it's a musical, and it just has like the
Their
Beatles
songs.
music in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's so good.
It is really good.
I love Jim Sturgis. I just love him.
So, does anyone want to take a guess?
Oh, man. This is going to be... Leah, what do you...
know.
I'm thinking either Limp Bizkit, which I will agree with. That they almost probably made my top 5, realistically. What's another guess of yours, Leah? I'm thinking like Limp Bizkit, ICP, maybe?
Oh, you know.
I do love ICP. I actually do love Limp Bizkit too.
I'm doing pretty good here. Doing pretty good.
I'm
What's-
going to guess it's got to be Taylor Swift.
What? No, stop.
And you're explaining the Beatles, and I'm like, yes, that was my childhood with Taylor Swift. I'm like, this when I was 11, it was this era, and then do. I will literally save all my commentary on this because I talk about her on every episode, so you guys know why she's.
Fair. Very surprised.
I know.
I am highly
Call the
highly
press,
surprised.
everyone.
Let the press know that Britney does indeed
Front
love
page
Taylor
Yes.
Swift.
news.
Oh, I got it. This just in.
Oh, God. Here
Britney
we
is
go.
a Taylor Swift fan.
Beautiful.
gosh,
I want
yeah.
that cut and clipped and sent to me.
So
Will be, yes.
the next like part of this episode, I know we want to like kind of hone in on like the phases of music that we've gone through our lifetimes, and I found something somewhat recently that I wanted to talk about like before we get into that part, just because I thought that this was so interesting that like I literally screenshot it and was like, we have to talk about this.
Okay.
Okay, so this was just based on a Google search. And according to research, most people tend to become less open to listening to new music as they age. So, like, you know how you're like, oh, when I was like a teenager, like I really grabbed onto these things and nothing hits the same ever since. And there's actual science that like is behind like the reasoning for that. Often like late 20s, early 30s is like when it starts to become noticeable. And there's the reason why is that they say open-earedness, which is kind of like not open-mindedness, but similar.
Kind of,
if you
yeah.
think about that, it declines. So it essentially is like your willingness to explore new music that like kind of goes down with
Interesting.
time, because you're just like, no, I know like what I'm looking for, and I can
Yeah.
find it in what I already know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, life stage changes, you know, career development, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, there's the nostalgia factor. So then you associate music with important life experiences and times of your life and things like that. So you want to go back to those specific things. And then hearing changes. So as we age, our hearing becomes less sensitive to high frequencies, which ends up like changing your preference and stuff. So
makes
I just remember like reading that at some point in like the recent past, and I was like, you know what, that affects so much of like how we like go through the stages of music in our life. So I thought it was worth mentioning. So
Nice.
this is like, you know what,
Who says we don't have some scientific stuff here on the show?
we're doctors.
We are doctors.
We are doctors. 100%. We are indeed
We'll
doctors.
hang those certificates.
Our
at some point.
doctorates.
They're just
Yep.
they're just lost in the mail. They keep taking forever to send them.
Yeah, it's really
They
weird.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know what's going on. Do either of you feel like you are becoming less open to new music?
I think I have phases. I think depending on, it might sound corny, depending on what I need from music will depend on where I'm willing to go to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. That
Like, I think, you know, if you're, so one of the phases actually that I listed on here, and we'll get into it, but like during COVID, I needed something that was going to help pick me up. And that was a time when I also was like, I don't have to work. I was smoking weed every day, and like just was like, I need to like feel good. And that's when I actually started getting into like the indie stuff. because I was
Okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, I need like this like indie sunshine. Like,
And I
think-
also need someone like here talking to me about good stuff. Yeah.
exactly. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel like it was sunny outside. Like, so like, I feel like I had to open myself up to new things because I knew that that's like what I needed in that moment.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, as far as finding new music, I feel like I'm kind of always open, but not if I'm in a phase where I can't listen to anything other than what I'm listening to. Like things, I'm open to it, but it might be put on the back burner for like literal months until I get over whatever I'm like hyper fixating on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 50-50 with it right now, where like I definitely try and remain open to new music because it's actually
I feel like I'm
it's
always
exciting.
open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
feel like
listen to anything, but if it sticks or not, I think is
Yeah.
kind of more.
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Of like this doesn't actually sound that great. Because like I a little practice I try and have is like if I see somebody share a song on their Instagram story and it's somebody that I kind of like vibe with or I generally kind of dig like yeah, we'd probably be similar. Like I will make it a point to click the little play on Spotify thing. Take
I
me
do
to
miss
it.
that. I did use to
Yeah,
use that.
like I will use people's stories to be like, I'm going to check this out. And I got to be honest, I have
bangers?
found some really great stuff by doing that.
So
like,
let me
I
ask
really
you
have.
something because this is a phenomenon that I've shared with Nick recently, and he was like, I never thought of that. Are you lyric people or are you music people?
I have it on my thing. I'm a big lyric person.
Me too.
I'm
Okay.
a booklet reader, like first
Yes.
and foremost.
I know the words to everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say I'm like a lyric and story person.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So, because
yeah.
what I will do is if somebody shares something on their story, if you share like any song on your story, I will immediately go to that song as well and listen to it. But I pulled like on
The lyrics
Spotify
up.
because I'm like, this is what this person is feeling right now.
I need, they
That
have
is
something
like-
to convey to
that's
me,
cool.
and I will.
I feel like I'm
yeah.
deciphering a secret message about what this person
That
is
is
going through because
actually a
they will put
blast.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, like
That's
I'll
so
put a
cool.
song out and I'm just like, oh man, like this is how I feel
like
right
an
now.
SOS.
Yeah, and you like stick it out into the world, and like if somebody knows that song or knows what that song is about, they could be like, oh,
Honestly, same.
yeah.
Honestly.
But yeah, that's something that I recently was talking to Nick about,
You
and
missed
he
it. It was
goes,
too quiet. Fuck. Sorry, go ahead.
Nick was like, I just, I don't really pay attention to words. Like his favorite band of all time is Blink-182, and I'll be like, he doesn't know the words to like the songs that everybody knows.
Or a lot of people like know the words, but they don't know what they mean.
Sure.
You know
Well,
what I
a lot
mean?
of Blink's words don't mean anything.
True.
Yes.
Phases. So
What if we break back into it by me singing?
there we go.
It's time now to talk about the phases.
That was so pitchy.
Are we?
Sorry.
Yeah. Haha.
She's the
He's
Simon
like pitchy.
Cowell.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
She's the Simon Cowell of our trio here. You
could
can be
never be so
Randy because you
mean.
have the glasses.
It's a no for me, dog.
And I'm going to be Paula because I say things that are too nice because I'm really bad at telling people how it is because I think it'll hurt their feelings.
Well, I'm going to give myself a pass, so I did well. What do you guys think?
I already told you.
Honey, I love your energy, but I don't think it's
This
for
isn't
us
the
right
year
now.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I'm not going to get to continue on American Idol, I guess we can talk about different phases of our music-loving careers that we have had.
Yes.
We've been mentioning
money
them
there.
this entire time. I guess it's time to... What was your first favorite music, like, what was your first
Yeah.
favorite band? What was the first thing you got into, the first phase,
Yes.
on your own?
I have a whole childhood section of this.
Oh, nice.
Do it, do
I
it.
gave very general notes on mine.
Yeah, but that's what it is. I mean, it's just like a paragraph. And I said, a lot of my childhood was like listening to what my family listened to because I was the youngest.
Yeah. Mhm.
So there was a lot of classic rock, which we already kind of talked about, the Beatles, and then a lot of like AC/DC, Pink Floyd, The Who. And then on the like other end of the spectrum was like the soft rock because my babysitter Linda would listen to Celine Dion. Like she'd be driving us home from wherever and she'd be going, 'cause I'm your lady. Like we're sitting in
Yeah.
the car.
I
and
know
she-
that song from the commercials
Yes.
at 3 a.m.
Exactly. And that's
You
like
are my man.
you'd be a small child and you would hear that come on and you were like, the 90s.
Yes.
But that
Tell
was
me how am I supposed to live without you?
yes.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
bringing me back.
The commercial is just playing in my head now.
Oh my god. But so that was, but then soundtracks from movies and musicals. Big ones for us were Grease, Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, a lot of Disney movie soundtracks. A ton of Disney movie soundtracks. I mean, The Lion King, like we had like a cassette player where you could like record stuff, and we would get blank tapes, and we would play our Lion King cassette or like the movie, and we would just sing along with it and record ourselves. And we thought it was like,
that's amazing.
So I mean, it was hilarious because it was us being ridiculous. But
you've been making albums since you were like 6.
Exactly. And then of course Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, and Christina Aguilera, like all the like good like pop stuff where you're like a kid and you're at the like roller skating rink and like you've got a cow tail.
Oh my god!
And you're listening to
hilarious. That was so specific. You've got your cow tail. The wrapper's halfway down, so you don't get sticky.
Exactly. Yes. And you're at the skating rink and you are listening to
Chris Brown's "Run It."
There you go.
Fuck Chris Brown, but that's what's on at the skating rink in 2007.
Ace of Base. I mean,
so much good stuff. Okay.
Yes.
So mine, I labeled my phases. I have 4 phases. So I have like tween, teen, young adult, and me now. Yeah. My tween was daydreamer / booklet reader. So I just like hadn't lived any life yet. Yeah. So I just like envisioned my life in what I was listening to. So I have JoJo, Taylor, Hillary, Lindsay, Britney. Now CDs were imperative for me because I had so much music on it. I had so many Now CDs. That's also all I wanted for Christmas when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 was CDs. Like I was a big CD girl. Destiny's Child, Jesse McCartney, Ashley, Miley, and then like my country music from my dad's side. So I had so much like pop. Yes. I remember listening to Britney Spears in my room, like Slave for You, like literally dancing to Slave for You at like 8 years old. And just like great memories. When I hear that now, I'm like, this is so saucy. The kids are going to be all right. They're like super worried about Sabrina Carpenter. I'm like,
oh my God. I'm like, did you ever listen to It Wasn't Me by Shaggy? Because we used to sing
in the car with my mom.
Lungs. Yes. And like, we were like, I had her in the shower.
Wasn't me.
I even had her on the stove, whatever.
You had it? Yeah. You know it. Don't pretend you don't know it.
We all know it. No, but like I remember screaming that at the top of my lungs, like walking down the street with like my cousins and my sisters, and we were just like, 7.
And the Must Be the Money song, is that how it goes?
Must be the money.
Yeah, that song too. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
What about you, Russ? Let's hear about your childhood.
I mean, mine is probably a mix,
like
maybe of both of these things. I feel like there's the obvious, like growing up, it was just kind of like whatever your parents listened to, which was like, my dad was like old school rock, like Motley Crue, that sort of stuff, AC/DC, and then in general, it's just like, my family just kind of listened to the radio a lot. And this is terrible to say now, but as a child, I'm pretty sure my first favorite artist that I would like jam albums top to bottom, knew all the songs, would dance to all of them, Michael Jackson.
Well, yeah, that's really a good place to start. Well, that's a high bar to...
I guess, yeah, technically. Not as a child, but,
True.
Not as a young boy.
Because had I met him and he was like, want to come to my house? I'd be like, oh my God, yes, Michael.
Get me out of this little town.
Give me your lap.
Give me your lap.
But,
Oh, no.
Michael Jackson was probably a first, like, major thing where I was literally like, I wanted all the CDs. I wanted everything to do with Michael Jackson. I'd pop them in the thing.
The song at the end of Free Willy, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Just non-stop Michael Jackson.
I love that.
Yeah, I feel like that was an early entry point. But then, like, I kind of feel like, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I did listen to. Like, I did love things like Limp Bizkit and stuff growing up. But, like, when I really started, like, really choosing music, and what I'd say was, like, oh, these are all my favorites, I'm actively seeking all this stuff, was honestly probably teenage years, which was, like, when I entered, like, skate culture. And so anything in the world of, like, Viva La Bam and Jackass, all the bands I wanted to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely, like, CKY was, like, yes. That was, like, the shit for a while. And any band that, like, Bam Margera would have
any like new
on
metal
Viva La Bam.
or like like the skater punk, like if it was on the skate games.
Yeah,
or,
like Tony Hawk.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, mine more specifically was like anything in that Bam Margera universe was just like, yep, all these random bands that nobody, it's like CKY is the one that everyone knows, and like all these other ones that like, thinking back, like I didn't even really like them that much, but because I love,
You just want to be in the community.
I just loved skate culture and Bam Margera and stuff that I was like, I gotta like this band
Yeah.
called Cradle of Filth, and like they're like death metal, and like there was like 3 songs that maybe I was like, no, I gotta like them because like Bam does. So like, but
Name
like
3 songs. I can.
I couldn't now. I couldn't tell you any of it. But like that was probably my first like real like filling up an MP3 player.
Yeah.
With like every
LimeWire.
CKY song,
Oh my
that was my
God.
LimeWire downloads for sure.
My first, because like obviously what I was kind of naming earlier was like childhood stuff for me, but like when I first like decided that I was gonna listen to music of my own, like when I had my own CD player, because when you have older siblings, like you don't get to pick what's playing on the radio, like you just sit down and shut up.
Right.
But the first like couple of CDs that I specifically got and was all about, and of course they're all like, it's like all just girl power shit, was like Avril Lavigne, Kelly Clarkson, Allie and AJ, Hilary Duff, the Veronicas, and then like randomly
The
Faith
Veronicas.
Hill.
That's
like,
my gay awakening.
Nice.
yeah, I loved the Veronicas, and their album, like that was when I was like, okay, we're gonna go heavy on the eyeliner. Like that was the awakening, I feel like, for me. And then of course led into like middle school.
I literally know by looking at you that you loved Veronica.
Yeah.
Like the Veronicas as like a teenager.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like only somebody that knows the Veronicas can like
Yeah.
be like, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like middle school in general was also like, then you get into like the like Paramore, like Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte, No Doubt, and then again Fountains of Wayne, All Time Low, We the Kings, Jonas Brothers was my first concert, was the Jonas Brothers.
Wow.
Yeah. I was way too old for that to be my first concert.
Oh.
Like it was just, my first concert was supposed to be Britney Spears, but
Oh, I
my
think we
mom,
talked about that.
yeah, my mom gave my ticket to my sister's friend because I was too nice, and I said sure.
Oh no.
So it's all right.
That's very sad.
I should have seen Britney and NSYNC.
Samesies. If you see any tickets go on sale for Britney Spears,
Send
buy one for Leah.
Liam Britney Spears tickets stat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brittany,
Make sure
if
I'm
you're
behind the plexiglass or
Yeah,
whatever.
Britney Spears is definitely watching this right
Yeah,
now.
Britney Spears is a samesy, so hey, hook us up.
Yeah.
Or hook Leah up. At bare minimum. Send her some tickets.
Yeah.
Done.
Help me live the childhood that I was robbed
That she
of.
deserves.
Heal this
yeah.
childhood trauma, Britney Spears. It's all on you now.
Oh god.
She doesn't know anything about childhood trauma. You couldn't ask
You've
that of
had
her.
no trauma, Britney Spears. Help us.
Help us.
Help us. All right, is it my turn? In teenage years?
Yeah, teenage years.
So this one is burnt CD Queen was my little like parentheses for this one because all my
Yes.
stuff was like I was teen years, so tween years, all CDs. Like for Christmas, I literally got like a like separately. You know what your presents are when you can see them.
yeah.
I'm like, there's 15 CDs under that tree. So then I started burning CDs because my mom was like, I literally can't keep up with
You're like, don't worry, I got
your
LimeWire.
supply.
Yeah.
So Taylor, I've just put her on everyone because it is the whole like she literally was.
Mm-hmm.
Mayday Parade. Kesha was big for me in my
Oh,
teen
man.
years. A Rocket to the Moon. Jay Brennan. Do you guys know who that is? He's like a gay folk singer. He has not come out with anything in years and years and years. I just revisited his stuff like 1 or 2 nights ago. I had a long drive and I was feeling very melancholic-y because of the election. And I didn't realize why I was like, why do I really want to listen to him? I know I love him. He's honestly probably like, if I had a top 10 list earlier, he would have been on it. But he's like very like politically driven in his lyrics. And I listened to him when I was very young and I only pulled so much out of it. But I was listening the other day to albums that are 10 years old. And like every single word applied to like, not only like my life right now, but like the world right now. It was very
Yeah.
creepy. It was
Yeah.
very like, I know that this is, it's not good that it's like still
Right,
happening.
that all these same problems have been around
Correct.
forever.
But it was really weird that I was like really drawn to this thing and then it like kind of
Right.
solved this. You're not the only person that
It was
sees
what
these
you
things.
needed, you
Yeah.
know?
That's cool.
So I have him on here. K-Flay. Do you guys know who that is?
Yes.
K-Flay.
K-Flay, the little rapper. Love her. Lana, the Cranberries. Leslie Gore. We did a lot of her in choir. So got me in the oldies. Lord, One Direction was my first and only boy band. I didn't do NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. And then I have Laura Marling on here from Finding Her then, and like Lee was big for me.
Okay.
You know what's strange? And you mentioned like bands like the phase of like Paramore, Newfound Glory, Fall Out Boy, all that sort of stuff. As I entered my like next phase of music out of like the CKY phase, I like, because of the strange friends group that I was in at the point in time who didn't like any of that music, I never had the like Fall Out Boy early
You like
punk.
missed it.
I missed it.
You
So
missed,
now
you missed the movement.
literally because I would like the I went straight into like scene music of like Devil Wears Prada, of Mice and Men, whatever,
Sleeping with Sirens.
Sleeping with Sirens.
The way that
like,
Nick describes it, because when I tell him like, oh, we had like the Paramore Newfound, and he's like, no, girls had that. He's like, those were girl bands.
See,
and
so-
I was like, what?
But that was how some of my friends group at that time acted. Is like if you
Yes.
weren't listening to something heavy,
Yeah.
you were a wuss. Like don't listen
That's
to Fall
exactly
Out
what
Boy
I mean is
because that's too
I think
clean.
there
and
was
light.
Asking Alexandria.
Yeah, that's honestly the most accurate
That's
thing that
exactly
could have
what
happened.
needed to happen.
Yes.
But no, he's like, I don't think you understand. Like, I couldn't listen to those bands. Like, those were girl bands. Like,
That
that's
was-
not what my friends were listening to.
That was
like,
literally my friends
yeah.
group that is like, so following along, it was just like, oh, I will not listen to Fall Out Boy. You're right. They sound too girly and stupid. We should listen to whatever.
They have too many words. They're saying too much. They mean too many things.
Yeah. So instead of just, that was the next phase completely, was all heavier scene music. Like I never got into like heavy stuff. Like I didn't
Like Cradle of Filth.
like Cradle. That was my 12-year-old era.
Era.
But yeah, like I don't know, because then obviously when you get into like scene music, there's like all the sub genres of like
Yeah, then you gotta find
metalcore,
the least
post-hardcore,
known band.
deathcore, blah blah blah, and it's like
So true.
too heavy. Like Whitechapel and stuff like that, I never.
Yeah.
Like there was probably some cool songs, but I didn't go that far into it. I was more
Sure.
on the like sceney kind of, again, of Mice and Men, like
For
that side.
for me, when it came to like those kind of bands, I would never ever seek out the band, but I would hear that like one song that would like earworm me, and then I'd be like I love Alkaline Trio because I know 2 songs that I'm like obsessed with. I don't know any other songs.
No, but that's
Yeah.
exactly what that time was. And a lot of, I feel like my life in general has been that. Like, there are very few albums where the entire thing really captivates me, and then those become my obsessions because it's an entire album that I can be like so immersed in. But normally I find, like 1 or 2 songs by an artist, and I'm like, oh, I love that artist, and they're like, what songs do you like? And I'm like, well, the songs that everybody knows, but I really like
but I
them.
love them.
Yeah,
Like-
that. Also during that phase, I for a while loved the whole pop goes punk, indie
Oh, yeah,
covers
punk
by
goes
heavy
punk.
bands.
Fun.
And like those were so fun. Literally at the gym today, the actual song "Still Fly," if you guys are familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
Played like the actual one. All I could think of was the cover by Devil Wears Prada.
And
like,
you're
that-
like, oh man, I know a
This
way
is
better
by my
version
favorite
of
band,
this.
but this isn't.
but this isn't. Why did they do like a rap version of this? What the hell is that?
That's
like,
how I feel when I hear most top 40 stuff now, because I'm like, this is Blue by Eiffel 65, and they just changed
Yeah.
the
They
words.
just slightly, that was so like that was another part of that phase too. Where like, if there was any band, because that was like the thing for a while, was like heavy bands would make a metalcore cover of some super popular
Yeah.
song.
There
at that
are
point in
literally
time.
bands that got started by like are famous because of that.
Because of a
I don't
cover,
doubt-
yeah.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, that was all. That's basically that next chunk of years of my life was like any. I label it as scene music. I don't know what
Yeah.
you would, if there's a.
It was
better
still
label for
progressing. It's
that.
not like you were
Yeah.
fully stuck in the same year.
Yeah, no, I would definitely like along with as the bands would, progress and all that sort of stuff. I definitely was like, oh, now like because the whole scene started to go from like how heavy and screamo can we be to like, oh, what if we made a slightly butt rock sounding album with that was a little heavy, and then you like enter that phase of things where I was also like, yeah,
Yep.
this is make your stuff sound like Limp Bizkit, please.
Yeah,
like,
there's a
that's
lot
what I
of there was a
want.
lot of gatekeepery
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
At least
and
where
then
I
it-
grew up about like heavy music, it was like it's gotta be X, Y, or Z, or like you're not.
Which is like just so fun to like grow up and be like, that was so silly that like things
Yeah.
were gate kept
Yeah.
and like there were rules.
That's
So
like
silly.
one of my, I mean, they weren't in like my top 5 favorite bands, but one of my favorite albums of all time is by a band called My Ticket Home. And they made an album called Strangers Only. And it literally is like if Nirvana got really heavy, and like it still to this day holds up as like I will dive back into it. And I'm like, this is really fucking good. But it was like at that trajectory where like they stopped being like a super scene band and they were like, what if we made our own sound?
Yeah. What if we just actually made music we wanted to make?
Yeah, and it's for me absolutely probably a top 5 favorite album of all time.
Nice.
Oh, I love
But yeah,
it.
scene phase.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, my little next bullet that I have is like high school, and a lot of my high school I was working at Hot Topic, and so I was discovering bands that came on like the music player, or like, funny enough, like I would see a band shirt that I liked the shirt, and then I'd be like, well, I need to look up this band because
taste.
I love this shirt and I kind of want to buy this shirt, but I don't want to have the shirt on and then
have no idea
not
the band.
have any clue
Name
what
3
this
songs, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But like Joy Division had the shirt, and it's like the album with like the lines that make like the mountain, if you're familiar at all. And I remember thinking, I really like that shirt, but I don't know a single song by that band. And then going and listening, and that was like the first like kind of like goth band that I feel like I was like, oh, this is actually really sick.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like working at Hot Topic, that was like so many,
Open it up the...
so many bands that I probably still never even found out what the names of those bands were, but I would like hear the song come on and be like, oh, I love this fucking song. I know this song. Yeah. And then it would just disappear and whatever. But it was, there were so many things from working there alone where I was just like, oh, like I found this band that I never would have found otherwise.
I feel like my rabbit hole of finding bands during that phase was actually early YouTube algorithm. Like,
that was mine too. I got
YouTube's recommendations. Like I would be like, I'll check it out, and like just looking for the next like cool metalcore band to listen to, and found a lot of stuff due to that.
Yeah, for sure. High school was also when I first started like doing covers, like playing piano and doing covers. And one of my favorite things that I found on early YouTube was a cover of Hey Ya by Outkast, but it was like this like folky acoustic version of it. Oh. And it is just beautiful. It's by Obadiah Parker. There's still a recording of it out there somewhere, I'm sure. But I remember thinking like, I want to take songs, because like when you listen to the lyrics to Hey Ya, like there are some silly lyrics, but like thank God for mom and dad for sticking together, because we don't know how. Like those kinds of lines, when you're singing those in like a way that feels like emotional, like I was like, that was the moment where I was like, I want to take music that people don't know means something and show them that it means something.
That's sick.
That is like my point with like so many people not liking Taylor Swift because of just like the brand and being like, if I like handed you a lyric book and like asked you to tell me what this meant, you would like start bawling your eyes out.
Yeah.
You just sometimes need someone else like perspective.
Yeah. It's almost, seeing it from an outside perspective. Yeah. And that was something where like, that was when I decided like I wanted to like make music that like made people feel something. So
not
that
the Hey Ya
like,
cover, just putting you on your trajectory.
Imagine that though. But I've done like most of the covers that I've done, like if you listen to anything I've done on YouTube and stuff, a lot of it is like reimagining songs and making songs where you're like, oh, like I didn't ever listen to those words in that way. But like when you hear them in an emotional like kind of bubble, you're like, oh shit. Like Outkast was feeling some shit.
Right,
I mean, they also said, lend me some sugar, I am your neighbor. But like it's like same song, but like there's just it's things
there's
like
multitudes.
that. Yeah, so I feel like that was like the year, like not the year, those were the years I should say, like high school and all that stuff where like I started really paying attention to like the lyrics.
You slow down Pumped Up Kicks.
Oh yeah, nobody should
don't
do that.
Don't look at the lyrics of Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah, you'll feel really sad. Well, maybe some people should.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is, so my last one was teen. This one's young adults. This one's My World, and you'll figure out why that's that versus the next one. But so this was like 18 to maybe like 25. The 1975, Halsey, Taylor, Lana, Best Coast, Tiger's Jaw, Casey Musgraves, Fleetwood Mac, and Vanessa Carlton is who I have in my like formative years, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of those artists were either like my age and on my like, projection, or like people that I pulled from like tween and like childhood. And like a lot of like friend like references, like taking like Mayday Parade and Rocket to the Moon is clearly like outliers in here. I got that from someone. You know what I mean?
Because that was okay. That was also anybody who's young has never experienced when you had an iPod before they changed it and you could go to your friend's house and take music off of their iTunes and put it on your iPod. They changed it where eventually you couldn't do that anymore.
And I also
that was
like
the best, going and rating your friends shit.
yes,
Oh,
and the like rich friends that like had fucking I what is it called, App Store, iTunes cards. Like they had money on their iTunes,
and they actually used it to buy music. I was like, I'm gonna buy a pottery game.
I want to buy the trash
I'm
can
gonna steal
paper
my
ball
friends.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
I'm gonna get the beer thing.
Oh my God, yes.
lighter.
In the lighter, yeah, I need the lighter. Yeah, that was.
Old?
Yes.
We might be.
The first apps, the first like smartphone apps, we were there for that.
Yeah,
I mean, the beer and the lighter.
I went from a Razor to like the first ever iPhone I got for a Christmas, and the very first thing I did was get on YouTube and listen to Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, like whatever their Disney songs were at that time. I remember like being like, I don't even need to open the rest of my presents.
That's amazing.
I have a mini computer in my hand now.
The fact that you could go on YouTube on there. I mean, it took me a while to even figure that out, to be like, oh, I could just look up any song that
I didn't know what the fuck else I was supposed to do on it. Because like it went from calling and texting to like now I can do all of these things.
I had Pirates of the I had a Pirates of the Caribbean, like the entire movie, like on my iPod Touch.
I do remember, you could like download a movie on there. I'm like, whoa.
Because I'd be like, anytime I need to go anywhere, I'll just watch this movie.
Yeah, and they're like, well, I'll spend the $6 because I'll watch it 5,000 times on my phone.
Man, all of that unlocked the memory of how cool the feeling was when you had an iTunes gift card.
Can I tell you guys
you
the
like
three
loaded
things?
the money in there, and you just saw like your $15.99.
Oh my God!
Like,
and you were like,
yes!
I can do anything. There were 3 things total that I actually like videos that I like downloaded from like iTunes that I was like, I'm gonna go like out of my way. And the one was the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It was the first one. And then the episode of Hannah Montana where the Jonas Brothers were on the episode. And then the SOS Jonas Brothers like music video. Like I like downloaded it because I think I pre-ordered the album. So like I had it on my those were the only 3.
You're like, even if my Wi-Fi goes out,
I have Joe
the towers
Jonas.
go down, I'm good.
Joe and I can still be together.
Oh God.
This is a preemptive 2001.
You knew something.
Not how old?
Aaliyah is 68 years old.
Oh my God. No.
Wow.
But yeah, I think. Were we?
We're on.
You were still.
Yeah.
You were still.
I went over my
this
like
is
my mid. Yeah, this is my mid, and it was the 1975 was very pivotal. I feel like I was making a lot of friends when the 1975 came and like toured here, and I feel like I like made more of those friendships because of that band.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know, like.
When you share a taste with somebody about something that's like consumable, like art.
Yeah.
It absolutely
really
like enriches that.
Yeah.
I mean, that 100% is my next phase of everything is the era of 1975.
I feel like we've probably both gone 10 times. So like that, there's a phase within that.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And also, and like the friendships that come with that, and like that era of young adulthood of like 25, 26, 20, whatever.
Yeah, you're relating to the lyrics and it's just everything about it was like, because that's also like the next thing that I've got is like early 20s. And like, the 1975, I'm glad that we all had the same like experience of it. Like I went and saw them a couple of times. I remember like that was one where like, oh my God, the new album's coming out. Like you'd be like we were in love with Maddie, like, and he was like the guy where all the guys were like, I don't get it. And you're like, oh,
you don't need to get
you
it,
don't
baby.
Need to.
You don't like the malnourished look.
Oh
you don't know what you're talking about.
Look at him.
It's the guys at the show that don't get it.
he loved the 1975. He's like,
that was very. Look at him. He's mad.
Look at him. And he's like,
look how red he is.
Yeah, no, that 100% is like that 1975 Coin Laney.
It was like we were
Laney. I forgot about Laney.
Going out and like going to bars all the time. Everybody had a leather jacket.
It's the bright colors and the black.
undercut. the
It's all of the
undercut
things.
haircut. Everybody had
Yes.
shaved sides and like long hair.
100%.
And they
black
would
leather
slick
jacket,
it
white
back.
T-shirt.
And or a vest, a jean vest with a hoodie underneath it.
Yeah, that
Ooh,
was
yeah.
that was a look.
Yep. That
everyone-
the
I
H&M
did it.
era.
Like,
I also
Oh, it was. Yeah.
I had an ex introduce me to the 1975, unfortunately, and
Yeah, there's
some
a
things
few-
trigger me. Like that haircut really triggers me.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
fair.
say quite literally, like there are songs by the 1975 that like were lifelines to me at one point in life, and now I like can't listen to them because of how much they meant to me, and also tied me to a person that like made me feel like absolute dog water.
I feel like I don't have any of those connections, but 1975 is one of those where if I listen to certain songs from certain albums, I do get mentally teleported back to that time frame.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those
Yes.
like anchor points of like, and you're back at 2016. How do you feel? Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Very
I'm like.
much that feeling.
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, it's suddenly the chocolate is playing, so my windows
Oh
are
my
down.
God, we're
and I'm
literally
like,
all in the same car right
Yeah.
now. Just
yes, we are.
10 years younger.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that video of, I won't be able to explain it, so it's not going to be as funny, but like the video that somebody made of what the 1975 sounds
Yes.
like to people who don't listen.
And it sounds like the
is-
1975.
It literally, I'm like, this is good. Because it's like,
and
he's just saying
there were
random
so
shit.
many bands that were trying to be the 1975 after that. Like,
And I was a sucker for all of, like pretty
Oh
much
my
all of them. I
gosh.
was like, yeah, this sounds like that one band I really like. I'm in.
Yeah.
Like 100%. That just everything.
you son of a bitch, I'm in.
You literally.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Any sort of 1975 aesthetic for a while. That was me.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
We all were. We were all like like the music video for Robbers. I was like, I want to be in love like these toxic people in this music.
Yeah.
Like
Rub
I,
coke on my gums
oh my
now.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I want.
It
in
is
my
like
life.
we lived through like a it's a funny comparison because they're both dicks, but we lived through like a Morrissey thing. Like we were actually there for like
Oh,
the
yeah.
height. I don't know, maybe they could get bigger, but like the height of the 1975.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
their
it was
biggest
wild.
albums. No one's going to be able to like live through like self-titled like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The
And I was-
1975.
Thank you, Maddie, for listening. Appreciate it.
You malnourished piece of shit.
I think you meant that one.
I was trying to
Why is
be
everyone
you.
so mad?
I was trying to be mad because I was being Ross.
Look, she's mad.
I turned purple. And I started screaming, asking Alexandria.
Oh my god.
All right, so
When
was
I just
it
had an idea.
just what?
On that Asking
No,
Alexandria
seriously.
part, I'm gonna try and remember in editing to like zoom in on your face and like shake the screen when you're like.
Oh my god.
I
I'm definitely
really
gonna try that.
felt bad for your guys' ears. I could hear them muffled.
No, that was it. Literally couldn't have happened at a better time. And I mean, we all lived the 1975 phase. What were the next phase? I mean, that kind of gets us to now.
where we
Did
are,
anybody
yeah.
have an in between?
I had sort of an in between.
phase?
I would say, like the 1975 phase. Also, I wanted to just mention that encompassed me when I started playing in bands, and also when I was in music school. So like the sheer like spectrum of stuff that was like on my radar at that point went from literally like Mozart, and then you had like the 1975 and like all these heavy bands that like we'd either be playing with or like my band would be listening to because they were all into really heavy stuff. And so there were things that I was having to perform for school, and then there were things that I was trying to perform in the band. So it was just the ends of the spectrum were just completely, it was weird. But also, yeah, I had the 1975 in Paris were like the big like black and white.
Paris.
Yeah.
How did I not? Yeah,
Yeah.
Paris was
Yeah.
a phase during that.
Big
time.
black and white everything from
Yup.
those two bands. Like I had just gone through a breakup when like those bands like hit hard.
And they hit pretty much at the same
Oh
time.
my gosh,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
exact same time. And I remember just being like, I'm in my black and white era, and I was everything.
Yeah.
My whole Instagram
Instagram
was
feed.
black
That's
and
so
white.
true. You're a
Everything.
performance artler.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I was like, this is who I am now. And it was just crazy. Like that, like whole like phase of life. It was like
Yeah.
going through a breakup with somebody that was like, I don't want to say like much older than me, but like when you're even, let's say 21 and 27, 28, like
That's a big
that's
gap.
a big gap when you're like at different stages of life.
You're yeah.
And my ex at the time was in his late 20s, and I had turned 21 in the like realm of our relationship, and he was like, "You're gonna go out and like drink and stuff." And I was like, "Yep, I'm 21 now. Like, I'm gonna."
I know you didn't see this coming, but
Yeah, but he would be like, "Okay," like, you know, he just didn't want to like go out and like drink with me. You know what I mean? He was like, "I'm over that like part of my life now." And like he would drink at shows when we played shows together or like whatever, but like when we broke up, I was like, I'm gonna go do all the stuff I didn't get to do before. So it's like listening to blasting like the 1975 and like out drinking, and we all have our leather jackets on, everybody's smoking cigarettes because vapes hadn't come out yet or whatever. Oh my
we're
God.
just so old. We're really aging ourselves in this episode.
Apparently, I didn't really think that would be the result, but it
that
does
was
kind of feel like that
our
was
like
forever
80s.
ago.
You know what I mean?
That's
that
so
was like our
true.
like.
That was
my
like
God.
10 years ago, kind of, basically.
Actually, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally is like next year will be 2015 because that was when it happened. Was
Yeah.
like 2015, like early 2015 was like, oh,
wild.
these are the bands that are like coming through, and
Yeah.
we are so stoked about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very specific like time in my life where like the people that were coming and going, and like the friendships that were so toxic, and like the music though was like that was like everything. And
Yeah.
in the music scene, it was like that was the first thing where people who were gatekeepery with the heavy stuff were finally like, all right, we can like pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 1975 was
It was
I guess
just
alt rock is cool.
indisputable, really.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and
there's
then there's like the video. He's literally got his like mohawk, and he's like, "We're not a pop band," in like the music
Yeah.
video, but they're like a pop band,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
very much everybody was just like, "Yeah, but it's sick. Like, they look cool.
Yeah.
They make you feel cool."
Then every metalcore band broke up and started an alt
yeah,
pop rock
the
band.
1976.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, that I guess my only like next phase would be like I feel like I let myself listen to things that like I pushed off as not like something like Limp Bizkit that I used to like forever ago. There would be those years where I was like, no, I'm 1975. Like I'm not going to listen to Limp Bizkit. Come on, like, secretly sometimes. And then literally I think 2 years ago that was my number one played artist on my Spotify Wrapped, and like I feel like that was my next phase of like, oh, growing up is just letting yourself listen to everything, and who cares if
You
anybody
literally
around
can,
you
yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
think that Rollin' by Limp Bizkit isn't a hit. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck you, get out of here, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then obviously goes into the acoustic folk era that I am now
Well,
in.
and I think there's something to be said also about like when you hit like I want to say it's like your late 20s to like 30, you start looking at stuff and being like, no, you know what? This thing was sick, and like people would make fun of it, but like I like this thing, and I'm gonna like this
Yes.
thing outwardly now because
Yep.
I don't fucking care anymore. And a lot of that was music. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there would be bands where people would be like, oh, they're, you know, like, oh, those are girl bands or whatever. And now it's like, who fucking cares? Like, go just listen. If you think you would like it, just go listen
Especially
to it.
like if you're not listening to Paramore because they're a girl band, and you're
Yeah.
losing out on like one of the best
Female-fronted.
vocalists
Yeah,
in that genre on the planet.
I had to go back and listen to all that stuff. Like once I was like out of the phase of like, what do all my friends think? It
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and
Yeah.
The
see what I missed.
misogyny
and-
haze.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, now I'm gonna go back and listen to
Gosh.
what all of I missed, and like, wow, these songs are fun and good and
Yeah.
great. You know, whatever.
My literal
like,
adult list is every single thing that I have listed.
Yeah. I mean, my adult list, I did have my little COVID thing as well.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so I already kind of went over that of like needing to be open-eared in order for my mental sanity and whatever. But yeah, I had discovered the like importance of playlisting during that as well, like
Yeah.
through Spotify, and like opening my mind to being like, if I just pick like this song and I go to a playlist for this song, it's going to suggest things that I probably
Yes.
like. And I was more open to doing that after that. But the Indie Sunshine playlist is the one that got me through. And it was a lot of like Half Noise, Hippocampus, Front Bottoms. Bishop Briggs was big
Love
during that
the
time.
Front bottoms. I had a big the front
Oh,
bottoms
yeah.
phase.
Sure. But like, yeah, during COVID was like the first time that I felt like I had become open-eared in a long time, and it got me into the idea of like, I can just sit and like put on a playlist of stuff, and I will eventually like hear something that like catches my, you know, my attention or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of led me to where I am now. But yeah, a lot of my present day stuff is stuff that we've already sort of like gone over, but like lots of just top 40s. Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, Roy Otis. Like they've had a couple songs that like, you know, their cover of Murder on the Dance Floor is like the better version. I'm sorry, but like I like it better than the original. And then I have like my playlists that I've curated just over time.
Yeah.
And those are kind of like little lifeboats to me, I feel like. I've got like different ones depending on what I need in the time. Because I have one that's literally called Kitchens Inc. and it's a play on words because, you know, they say like everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
And it's like just everything. I'll be like, I know that song. I've liked
Going on my
that song,
playlist.
and it's like everything. It goes,
Yep.
you know, Phantom of the Opera to It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. Like it's everything and everything. I have a playlist that's called Now That's What I Call a Millennial Party, and it's just a bunch of like upbeat songs that like we grew up with, and like you'd hear it and just be like, oh, like I would imagine
No Handlebars.
Would be,
Oh my god.
I know. Someone actually like pushed it into my head the other day. So
I'm gonna have to
Wow.
put it on there now.
Yeah.
What
But
a
like it's just a
wild
lot
song.
of like,
that song made me feel weird for some reason. It might have been the music video. Because that
don't remember
animation
it.
Isn't
style
that the whole
does something
point?
to me. It probably
Uncanny
probably.
Valley.
Yes, that I can acknowledge that bothers me. That whatever
Yeah.
that visual style is, it does something to me. So
Yeah.
that music video creeped me out. So I have a weird I liked that song, but it was just such a fucking weird.
But you're like
a
kinda,
lot
like,
of music
watch it
videos
like
that were
this.
weird back in like the 90s and 2000s when they first started like using like visual effects that were like digital.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, do you remember that one Backstreet Boys song where they were in like robots?
yes. Yes.
Oh, vaguely. Yeah.
There were just a lot of where you're like,
they were working out the kinks
yes.
in
yes.
video production back then.
yeah, so that they could later give us Transformers.
Of course. That was the
And that is
direct.
our Lord and Savior, Bumblebee.
Samesies roll out.
Oh my god.
Ross, make me Bumblebee.
Hold on. Did you just tell me to make you Bumblebee and then move your body as transforming?
Yes. I thought it was really like obvious.
That is incredible, and I don't
For
know
those listening at home.
if for those listening,
Watch on YouTube. I don't know.
Brittany
That's-
just transformed into a car.
I did. There will be a
Wow.
clip of it when Ross puts the car over me.
She will be
Will make
Bumblebee. Do you see?
I do.
What I did there?
The tears are rolling.
I
That's
know.
incredible.
Wow.
Well, I don't think it gets any better than that. I feel like we
No.
talked about every bit of music that we ever loved.
Yeah.
Except for, oh my God,
Not the Bumblebee.
we just got attacked again. Except for all the bands, of course, that when we're driving home tonight,
Yeah, it'll
or
haunt me.
Laying in bed, we'll be like, how did I not?
Yeah.
mention
My most favorite band of all
my
time.
literal favorite artist ever? Oh my God! And then you listen to them all the way home.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think there's only one thing left for us to do.
I guess I'm gonna push that button.
She sang! Yes!